Yes, okay, let's start. Let me share screen. So, can you see it correct?
Yeah, all good, all good.
Okay, so first of all, a small introduction. It will not be very long talk, but I think it will be very self-explained talk. So after this talk, I hope everybody can explain to colleagues what is MCP server, why it is important, and how to use it. And not only just explain it on hands, but make a small presentation. It's very, very easy. So let's begin. So why we need an MCP server and how it begin. Let's begin from a small question to the local language model. It's a typical question like, what's the time? And if you ask a general model, what's the time? Model can't answer because model has no information about the time. So model need more and more information to answer to your questions correctly. And the solution, there are actually two solutions. First solution is fine-tuning model. It's very expensive, and other options is retrieval augmented generation. When we add some information to the to our request, which can help model to answer our question correctly. So our choice is retrieval augmented generation. So what is it, and how we can get additional information? Actually, this is a problem, and why MCP server can help us. First of all, we can call functions to get additional information, but we need to specify format of this information. Could it be Morse code or just text, or maybe XML or JSON, or if it is XML or JSON, what is format for this additional information? So this is exactly what is MCP server about. MCP is model context protocol. It's just a protocol, just a standard for additional information for the language model. No more. Actually, frankly speaking, a bit more, but the main idea is to provide precise format for additional information for the model. So different vendors, different providers can provide this additional information in the same way. So it's like a USB for language models, when you can plug additional tools and additional servers very easy. And why it is interesting, and why it is interesting now, because it is very, very modern technology, less than 1 year, and it is became very, very popular. By the date of February of this year, there are already more than 1,000 MCP servers in open sources, and every day became more and more and more. So for latest build conference on Microsoft, they announced that Windows itself will be a giant model context protocol server. And the latest update for maybe last week, Microsoft announced a special local language model for settings. I think everybody know that it's very hard to find particular settings in a Windows, so they created a small language model which can answer you for your settings questions. This information is just 1 week ago, so it is very, very modern technologies. One funny fact, MCP is not master control program, but master control program is a bit correlated with MCP, because the idea is controlling everything with one protocol is about this. Of course, there are different protocols and different ideas between sharing information between some sources and language models. But now, and we'll focus it only on MCP. So let's check an example. This is an example of dialog with local model which know the time. I especially put the English in a very old style, so it will be interesting for you to read. So how it works? Of course, model answers the current time, yeah? And how it works? It works like this. When we ask model for a current time, model know nothing about it. But we can not only ask model about current time, we can ask model, hi model, we need to know current time, but also we have a watch and maybe a scale and a ruler. And model can return you an answer. Just use your watch and tell me the numbers. And in return, model tell you a time. This is a short explanation of a dialogue between LLM application and server. So talk is cheap, show me the code. It's a famous phrase of one Unix guy. How to create MCP server? Creating MCP server is very, very easy, and I definitely recommend you to try. You can try beginning with a very simple example, just example of MCP server which can return current time. The most important moments here is attributes about MCP server 2. This is attribute for class, and MCP server 2 with description for method. Description should be, how to say, machine readable, because this is description which can help LLM to choose correct method to get the time. So if you read the recommendation from OpenAI, they recommend not to use more than 20 methods for the one call. It's official recommendation, and if you have very, very similar functions with a similar description, it will confuse the model. So try to use long enough explanation so it will be easy to understand what is this function about and how it works. Next step. Next step is this slide is a MCP, model context protocol, and how it looks like. First part is get current time. It's our request. And next slide is a response. And model context protocol is just description of this JSON, no more for now. Actually, a bit more. So how to register your MCP server? After creating a tool, you have to register your MCP server. And there are two different types of MCP servers for now. One of them is stdio server. This server is actually executable file on your file system, and it works completely local for your machine. And another one is HTTP related, but for now they have some protocol updates to change somehow it works over HTTP. So the easiest way to start is to use stdio server transport. How you can experiment with MCP server you created? The simplest way is to use Visual Studio Code. And let's try the same example I show you before about the time. So please look at the tool I selected. I selected only one tool, get current time tool, and ask the same question about what's the time, dear sir. And model will call my MCP server, and in the log in Visual Studio Code, you'll see that it is calling your function. And you can see all the requests and responses in Visual Studio Code. It's very useful for debugging. And of course, as server can be just an executable program, so it can be dangerous somehow. So Visual Studio Code show you a confirmation dialog. You can confirm it every time, or for session, or forever. Actually, it's a bit annoying to confirm all the actions, so I prefer to set it forever for non-destructive actions. And finally, we can see that our Visual Studio Code get current time and show us the output and show us a correct answer to our question. It's also just words, and I want to share with you a real-world example. Real-world example begin as my small tool for maze generator, and I have a small website with small tools just for educational purposes, and I wanted to start generating mazes just for fun actually. And when I tried to find and generate some mazes with Visual Studio and with Copilot, I found the problem that it sometimes just hallucinate and suggest me wrong methods, non-existent methods, or even methods from different libraries. So I have a special NuGet package for generated maze, and I'd love to use it. But unfortunately, Visual Studio don't know about this package. So how to solve problem? Actually, we have two problems. First problem, when you use tools like Copilot, sometimes it mix different methods from different libraries or from different versions of the same library. Actually, it's a nightmare. Then the code looks very beautiful, but first line is from version 1 of the library, next one is from version 2 of the library. Actually, if you look at separate lines, every line is correct, but you cannot use it together. I don't know why, but this is typical for libraries connected with graph representation and for drawing. I don't know why. They love changing API every time, so it very confuse LLMs. So when I created MCP server, and this led me to the creation of the MCP server, which can collect information from NuGet packages. And else, and on example, I see a screenshot when my MCP server check the particular NuGet package, grab all the information from this NuGet package, list all the interfaces, classes, enums, and this highly prevent LLM from hallucinations. And it can use particular methods from a particular version of the NuGet package. So it's very useful for every code generation. For example, I can ask the same MCP server with the help of the same MCP server. I can ask model, for example, I need a method to check if the maze have a wall. Please try to find it. And it can find it inside the NuGet package. Also, it can help you with choosing between different NuGet packages for your problem without downloading, compiling, and it makes your exploration of NuGet packages much easier. Actually, what's behind this when you ask the system to check if particular method exists, inside it will ask MCP server like this input package ID, blah, 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 interface, just show me what's inside this interface, and it show you a definition of this interface. But all of this is about NuGet package. So it's a practical example how you can use MCP server. Maybe you start your imagination and you can imagine new one MCP server and you can create it very, very easily. If you need help or if you wanted to discuss the ideas of creation of MCP server, don't be shy, contact me, just ping me with Teams, emails, or mobile phone, it's easy. How you can try my example? I love all of you, so I prepare a small MCP server and with very easy installation. I put it into the winget source of the Windows. So you can just type winget find MCP server. I hope now it will be more than only one, but for time I prepared this presentation about 2 weeks ago. It was only one. So next you can just winget install NuGet MCP server and you'll get a command NuGet MCP server. It's very easy. After this, you can easily add it to the Visual Studio Code. I make my experiments with Visual Studio Code Insiders, but now with a typical Visual Studio Code, almost the same. And for now, they changed the way how we can install MCP server. They provided some kind of central storage for Windows, but it's not a standard for now. So you have to add this MCP server manually. But it's very easy. You can type select MCP server, select what it is type of stdio. It means it's an executable file on your file system. And finally, you put such kind of little part of JSON configuration for your Visual Studio Code. I like the way how they created buttons for running and stopping and restarting MCP server just inside the JSON. It's very useful. So you can do it right now and experiment with your NuGet packages. So for now, I think it's all. I just want to say a couple of words about future of MCP servers and other possibilities. Actually, MCP servers have a server-initiated sampling. I don't want to make my current talk very long, and it is very interesting topic. Maybe we can discuss it next time. And also, MCP servers provide resources. If you read about resources inside the MCP server, just imagine it's a file system. And newest MCP server versions provide you with kind of operation called root. It means in context of the file system, it means you can specify the root of the file system. And funny fact from my experience, once I experimented with vibe coding and a Copilot, I saw how Copilot tried to escape from my folder, from my project folder. He tried to create some commands and run some codes. And finally, it looks like it is typing ... And after some iteration, it started to enumerate files on my drive C. So for modern versions of MCP servers, they provide a root operation. I'm not sure if it is exactly presented in the latest packages, but for now, it is very, very modern standard. And also, I want to show you one more live coding experience. I'm not sure if it is visible, but I'll read it. Just imagine you are using modern model context protocol NuGet library, and you want to know what's new in the latest version. Typical question: what's new in the latest version of this library? I don't know. README is always something new. Bugs fix it. Nobody fills the README section, but you can just run it. It a bit depends by speed of the model you selected, and as you see, it says Visual Studio Code. It is trying to run server, trying to summarize the result, try to find a previous version of the NuGet. If you expand these boxes, you can see actually what's happened inside. First of all, it was just selected all the information about package itself, and this is all the information, auto description, and blah, blah, blah. And next, it is trying to collect more and more information about different versions. If you see errors, sometimes it's related to the model itself, because model just treated previous version like a number -1, but it's not always true. So after some iteration, it will prepare your summary about differences between latest and the current in a current version updates. So it's very useful. It takes not so long time, just about maybe 15 seconds. So I definitely recommend you to play with this package and share your ideas and bug reports with me. I like bug reports. Please send me. I'll try to fix it. So it's all for my presentation, but we can answer the questions if you have any and wait for the final result for now. Thanks for listening.
All right, Dima, thanks a lot for your presentation. We do have a couple of questions. So I am going to read them. There was a question regarding the timeout, but it was answered that we can specify the timeout, but it's not a part of MCP. Would you like to add anything regarding the timeout? Can we configure, let's say, timeout for MCP tools on a Visual Studio Code level?
Actually, I can't remember such settings. I only remember settings about confirmation and about sources, because for now you can specify information about MCP server at least at 4 different places. In a Windows level, user level, project level, workspace level. So be accurate when you experiment with setting it up, just not mix it. Because once, for example, just a small recommendation, when you did experiment with your MCP server, it's very easy when you add it like a local, for example, like this. MCP my version for debug local. So I can switch between a public version from Winget. I recommend you to play, and the local if you decided to play with the local versions. Of course, all this code on GitHub, you can freely download it, use it, distribute it, whatever you want.
Okay, so another question was about other IDEs. So you showed and talked mostly about Visual Studio Code. Do we have the same capabilities, let's say, in Rider? I think.
I think yes, but currently I'm not using Rider, but I saw my colleagues use it and it has support for MCP server. The same for Visual Studio, but for Visual Studio we have some limitation as far as I understand inside the system prompt. And if you, for example, ask Visual Studio about current time, it answer you with I am LLM model, I don't know. You have to force it by adding tool exactly and ask it just use tools provided and answer my questions. It depends. I think they have different system prompt, Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. So for experiment, I recommend code version.
Okay, so another question is about conflicts between MCP servers with the same functionality. I think you mentioned that, but just quickly recap.
We can select it. So if you click tools configuration, you can select which servers to use. For example, debug version or public version or other versions. So you can select which version you want. And actually, just to say maybe advance in the questions, there is a special technique when you can put as much servers and functions as you want, more than 20 as recommended by OpenAI, but there is a special technique for selecting it automatically. It is already supported in the semantic kernel, and I think our guys who talk about semantic kernel will cover this topic.
But generally speaking, in case if you have several MCP servers, correct me if I'm wrong, and they provide the same functionality and their descriptions are similar, then there could be a confusing situation for the LLM, and time to time you can get incorrect responses, or not really incorrect, but something that you didn't expect, right?
Yes, of course. It's because it's the reason why Visual Studio provide you a list with the checkboxes, and
So you can choose,
exactly.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
So you got an incorrect answer, you can unselect, uncheck particular MCPs and repeat the prompt. Okay. So another question, and I think it's very wide and like debatable. It's about cybersecurity. I see that there is a response from Darko. So what's the situation with the security and MCP servers? It seems like I can put really malicious code into the MCP server and mask it like it is something useful, but internally inside this MCP server,
Ah,
I can do anything, right? I can steal your context, log it somewhere, then analyze somehow, and maybe hack your system eventually.
yes, of course, it's a problem. And on a Microsoft Build conference, then they mentioned more interesting topic how MCP server can be malicious. They mentioned topic, then MCP server at the first request expose just polite function, and on the next request, they can provide you destructive functions. So it can mimic between a polite program and a virus. And actually, you just have to trust MCP servers. For example, my MCP server is in open source on a GitHub. You
Okay.
can compile it.
Okay. So we can trust your MCP server. Okay.
Trust me.
Right. Right. So another one from Ihar is I'm not sure that I fully understand, but I'll just read it as is. Is it possible to include MCP resources to context when using some tool based on tool description?
As far as I'm not, I don't have much experience uh, with resources, but my understanding of resources is like a file system. So you can just point to the file name. And this is the reason why they do separation between resources and just general questions. It's a context size. If you have a big enough file and small context, it's easy for you to just operate with a file name. So resource ID, actually, just imagine it's a file name. I don't know if I answered this question or not.
Okay. Right. And another one from Ihar. Any experience recommendations for authentication in MCP server?
This question actually need some clarification. What kind of authentication you mean? Because there are two sides. First side, if you want your MCP server will be accessible only for trusted application, or it's about resources MCP server access itself. So it depends. Just for my knowledge, if you are going to ask, for example, company resources through the MCP server, it's better to make it as much hard-coded as you can. Because, for example, LLM can hallucinate and actually can poison your MCP server with different stupid requests. So if you are going to, for example, connect your MCP server to the database, my recommendation is do it in a read-only way, or at least provide some requests for some dangerous operations. There is an extension for the MCP protocol where MCP can return a special, like a token for request user for confirmation. But this only works if we are talking about correct and polite MCP servers. And of course, correct interaction with MCP server. So for now, there are two sides of connection between MCP server. Yeah, it's from the client application, and MCP server itself can connect to resources. So if you connect your resources, for example, to company Jira, just connect it with read-only way and experiment. It's easy. If you want to create some tickets or delete some tickets, just put confirmation in all places for now, because for now there is no like a hard-coded guaranteed 100% guaranteed way to avoid dangerous function execution.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
Right.
just sorry, one small story about my experiments. I also have did lots of experiments with the small language models. And when I tried to experiment with MCP server, which expose many functions with a kind of llama or qven server, it just tried to execute all of the function, regardless of my question. So it's possible situation. Just imagine one of the function as a function for delete Jira ticket, for example. So you should be ready to unpredictable calls for your functions.
Mm-hmm. And in case if we are talking, let's say, about this Jira situation, yeah, so you have an MCP server that allows you to interact with Jira, and so any ideas how you can, let's say, put an authentication? So you will do your interaction through LLM, but you will authenticate and grant a particular access to this MCP server to do some things on your behalf. Is it possible to do?
As far as I understand, the latest updates for MCP standard play around authentication too. But for now, I'm not sure if it is already created and fully supported everywhere.
So okay,
for now,
it's on a quite
handmade.
early stage. Okay.
Yeah.
I see. And it seems like it is the last one. Any well, there is an answer again from Darka, but maybe you have some thoughts on that. Any particular MCP server to boost .NET Copilot development? Do we have anything for .NET especially for .NET, or
my
like...
current presentation was about one of them. It's very productive.
Okay, so
And
this one for NuGet package
for
assessment.
NuGet packages, it's very useful and prevent it from hallucination.
Okay.
Just try to use it.
Okay, yeah. And when like a couple of weeks ago we had a session with regarding the vibe coding, and we did some live coding things, and it seems like LLMs can interact with command line interfaces, and we saw how it called .NET CLI, and it worked pretty well. So seems like for now even basic LLM functionality and a basic set of MCP servers is enough to create new projects, do some scaffolding. .NET entity framework migrations worked as well, so LLM was able to determine that particular command line tool needs to be called. So it all worked well. Yeah. But I think in general, at some point, we will probably come up to like language-specific LLMs that will know the particular programming language better than others, or particular framework, let's say, let's say Angular-specific LLM, that will know Angular like on a perfect level. So that's what we need. Probably we need like LLMs specifically for a particular programming language. It's not for like, not a generic purpose LLMs, right? So maybe that will be very helpful. Okay. It seems like we are done for today. Thanks everyone who attended the session. Don't forget to rate the topic and assign some badges to Dima. Dima, very nice presentation, short and precise. Thank you so much. And folks, you can try Dima's MCP server that helps you to analyze .NET